Welcome to the EQ Worship Podcast. Our desire is to equip fellow worshipers, leaders, and musicians to do worship well in their communities. Join us in this conversation.
The sound of the water that brings life.
Okay, welcome to the EQ Worship Podcast, episode 13. Crazy, we've done 13 of them because we do them once a month, so that's pretty awesome.
That is cool.
Yeah. And this is a friend of mine. His name is Gabe.
Hey.
Gabe Martinez. And Gabe is not only an amazing artist himself, he was in a band called Circle Slide for many years. And,
true.
But we actually met while he was signed on the label that he was signed on, and we eventually got signed on the same label. And then I was an artist and he was a band, and then eventually we actually thought it was a really good idea. Actually, we didn't really think it was a good idea. We wrote a few songs and they didn't sound like my stuff or your stuff. Mm-hmm. So we thought, let's release something together. And so it kind of invented this thing called Stomptown Revival, which we did for many years. And then we took a break.
It's a broke. It was a broke.
It was a broken break.
Yeah. But we just recently got back together about a year or so ago, and it's really kind of fun. So anyway, Gabe Martinez, and Gabe is actually going to share the scripture of the episode and the devotion of the episode. So
so the devotional kind of comes from this idea. I play this guitar. It's a Martin 1976.
Then when I saw last night with the hole in it?
With the big hole. Thank you. You perfect.
Yeah.
I was hoping you would. I was throwing the ball in you. So it's got this big hole in it, and there's been a couple times.
And not a normal hole like in the center.
No.
It's an extra hole.
It looks like Willie Nelson's guitar. It's got that vibe. Like it's like you.
Because most people are going, I think my guitar has a hole.
Yeah. That's true.
Look at my guitars. They've got holes in them too. What's so special about yours?
Yeah.
Well, this one looks like I went somewhere in an alley in New York City in a trash can digging, and I found this guitar. And I pulled it out, and I was like, "This is my guitar." So there have been a couple times where I've led worship, and some super sweet people have come to me and said, "Listen, my wife and I have just been praying. We feel just inspired to buy you a new guitar. I feel like you need something that's
like
quality."
Store.
Yes, and but what they don't know is that my wife waitressed for a long time. And she saved up coins, like all her change. She saved all that stuff up. Mm-hmm. And for years, she was just saving up for something really special for her. Maybe when things went bad or south. And when we started like touring and taking music seriously, I had this guitar. And it was fine. It was a Washburn guitar. Nothing wrong with that at all. Yep. But it was like a $200 guitar. And that was a lot of money for me at that time. And so I treated it as great as I could. I tried to love on it. But it was becoming apparent that we were going to be going to LA and to New York and Nashville.
Right.
And playing for some record labels. And my strings kept breaking and it never would stay in tune. And she just said, you really need a really good guitar if we're doing this in a real way.
Yeah.
So one day we were in Greensboro, North Carolina, and we were playing at this Christian venue. And across the street was this luthier. And he had like you have here guitars hanging, and I saw that guitar, and it didn't have the hole in it at that time, but it was just beautiful to me. It spoke to me. I was like, man, that would be the guitar. And the luthier's like, that's a good one. It's 1976 Martin. He started explaining to me the guitar.
And 70s Martins are they're hit and miss. You have to find the right one.
Yes,
they have problems.
Yes,
but his doesn't have problems. So.
Well, when I
minus
now
that hole in
now
it.
It does. Now it has
this one had I had to move the bridge down. It's been through all kinds of stuff. This guitar, but when I left, I went back. We played the show, and when I got back, my wife had used those coins to buy my guitar, and it was expensive, and she had been saving forever since she was like in her teens, and it's still to this day. When I think about it, thankfully I'm not trying to think about it too much, but it'll move. Like I'll get moved to, and I get emotional about that. So what I'm saying is, while people see that guitar and they see something, particularly people who don't know anything about guitars will see it and they're like, that guitar is just a broken piece of junk. But I see something different.
Yeah.
I see layers. I see my wife's sacrifice. I see her love. I see her care for me. I see her belief in me when no one else believed in me at that time, not even myself probably. And that's the way God sees us. You know, we see ourselves in the mirror. We look at ourselves and we see who we're supposed to be sometimes and who we're not, like the potential that we're not reaching. We see our failures. We know who we are. And yet God doesn't see us that way. God sees the sacrifice of his son. He sees Jesus.
And yet he still sees the whole, and he still sees all the
It's
rich
not
stuff.
blank, exactly.
But there are definitely, you know, people who would say, oh, but God sees this perfectly clean.
Yeah.
No, he's totally realistic.
Oh, yeah,
he
he
knows
knows
how
who you
messed
are.
up you are.
So,
I mean,
yes,
it's dumb to actually
And he
say. but-
still finds the value and the worth in us, which is beautiful.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
So the scripture is 2 Corinthians 5. Now I'm forgetting it because I don't have mine.
17?
It's 5. It's the last verse in that chapter. But it just says
I'll find it.
Yeah, it says he who knew no took his son who knew no sin to become sin.
Yeah.
So that we might become the righteousness of God.
Yep.
And that idea is
For our sake, he made him to be sin who
Yes.
knew no sin, so that in him we might become the righteousness of God.
right. That's
Cool.
it. And it's not like to become good or
Right.
become like decent people. The righteousness of God, which really to me is like this unattainable thing. We could not attain that on our
Yeah,
own.
that's good.
The righteousness.
We
of
don't
God.
become righteousness. We don't become righteous ever. We become the righteousness of God, which
Yeah.
is basically a picture of him.
Yes.
It's
Yes.
and actually a possession of his. And some people don't like the idea of being a possession of anybody, but
Right.
we're a prized possession of God
Yeah.
that has holes.
Yes.
That has
Yes.
ever all the nicks and
Yes.
scratches and totally.
Absolutely.
So that spoke to me
Good.
recently. Hopefully
That's
that-
beautiful, man.
Yeah, man.
That's
That's
so
awesome.
good. I
Yeah.
love it. Hey, do you? We also do a funny story.
Okay,
And
yes.
I heard you have a winner for funny story.
It's just cringy. It's just full of cringe. Funny to you guys, hurtful for me.
Awkward is kind of
Yes.
my favorite
Okay.
thing.
So,
Love it.
I mean, we all have these stories probably. Brandon less so, because Brandon can do, like, Brandon I think came out just being able to play whatever perfectly.
No, but I just say stupid stuff on stage.
He's got
Well,
plenty
that's
of dumb
true.
stories.
I might be able to sing good, but I'd not say stupid
You don't
things.
say it. No, I've not seen you do that too much. But I've been
Zach-
I've been
Zach-
worried about you. Like I've been on stage worried. Like where's he going? Where's he going?
Yeah.
It's like a roller coaster. And like,
I
oh, he
get-
landed.
I get
Okay.
there.
He landed. I
He
feel
did
that
it. He
too.
did it.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, a friend of mine. Like I just started playing guitar and I started writing songs and I really liked Bob Dylan. Like he was like my hero at the time.
Yeah.
And still is.
Do
And
people ever tell you sound like Bob Dylan?
maybe in the early days because I was definitely trying.
I've gotten that. People told me that, and I realized it's not a
It's not a
compliment. People are like going,
Remind
"You
me of
sound like
Bob
Bob
Dylan."
Dylan." I'm like,
Yeah.
"Oh, thanks."
Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah.
In the best possible way. It's
Yeah.
not- yeah. Well, this friend of mine, and I love him. He was like one of my best friends. He was a pastor in Michigan. He's like, he was bringing this rap hip hop artist to town, and he's like, "Could you come and open for him?" And I was like, "Well, my music is not hip hop." He's like, "No, it'll be cool. I think you really need to come and play." This was like my first big, like opening for a big
Oh, wow.
artist. Yeah, but dude, I was in my mind I was prepping
Yeah.
for this event, but I'd never done this before. So I worked on I worked on Bob Dylan's song. It's called "It's Alright, Mom, Only Bleeding," which is like this 8-minute song with no chorus, and it's just this repeating thing, and I loved it.
Yeah.
But so I worked on these songs. I worked on another song called "Eve of Destruction" by a guy named Barry McGuire. And it's this very depressing, song. And then I had my own music, which still wasn't like finished. If I would have when I showed it to like my friends and family, they loved it. But if I were to show it to like an actual like a radio person, they'd be like, "We're not gonna ever listen to that."
Yeah.
So, needless to say, I traveled all the way from Arkansas to Michigan with my guitar. Met the artist, got on stage, and the crowd was electric. Like, they were so ready for like hip hop. You know, the opening music was like boom, packed out house. People were leaning up against the stage, had like a thrust stage, like a circle. So there was a normal stage, and so I went up at like the very front, so I felt like Bob Dylan. Like the lights were on me. I remember I was wearing this like these like pants, these jeans that were way too high. I did not look like a hip hop artist at all. I looked like a guy that just came off the street. I start playing, and I realized like I don't really know how the song goes now. I'm like, oh wait, that's not how I practiced in my room, but this isn't coming out right.
In front of the lights, in front of the people.
But in my mind, like, I'm not right. So and then I start remembering, like, I don't even know all the verses to the song. So I'm like, and the way the song goes, like, darkness at the break of noon, shadows even the silver spoon, the handmade blade, the child's balloon, eclipses both the sun and moon. To understand you know too soon, there is no use in crying.
Sounds like a rap song.
It is. That's what I thought in my mind. But the crowd is looking at me like this. You could hear crickets. And then like the nerves, and I start doing that flop sweat, and I forget lyrics, and I forget how the song goes. And so but it goes 8 minutes. So first song, like 6 verses in, you start to hear people like, T-Bone! Because that's what they came to hear.
Oh, man.
T-Bone! And then like slow rumbling. I'm not even through with my first song. We want T-Bone.
Oh man!
And you start to hear like, so then I finish my song and it's like no clapping, and then I say for my next song and boo.
Oh man!
So I get through my set. I know I get through my set. I get off the stage, and the artist, the hip hop artist, like, what do you call that music that you just made? I said it's folk music, and he's like, I never heard of that. It's very interesting. And then literally his woo, like the sirens, and he goes off. This crowd goes wild, and I'm left standing there just with my guitar. And it was just a lesson for me that I did not prep. I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't think of the audience at all.
Yeah.
I was just thinking of myself, and like it was my room.
Don't trust your family.
Oh, no,
yeah, they're way too nice.
No. So it forced me to go like, I need. What I thought was preparation was not preparation.
You got to go to your producer and have him tell you
Yes.
this is garbage.
I wish I would have had a producer. He would have told me, dude, do not go out there.
Dude,
Tell your
don't do
friend
it.
you can't do the show.
No!
Oh, the booing just went
Yeah.
through my soul. Oh my gosh. But it got me toughened up.
Hey, right away, yeah. The first kind of one of the first.
Right off the bat.
Jeez.
Yeah.
That's good. Good
Yeah.
one.
Hope you felt the cringe.
Yeah, everyone else. That's encouragement and laughter. Thanks, buddy.
My pleasure.
It's
my pleasure.
fantastic.
So, we like to dissect a worship song, the lyrics and even one of the lyrics, you know. But we like to dissect worship songs on this podcast, and the whole purpose of it is so that you guys can use them. And use these concepts that we're talking about maybe as you're leading to edify your church. It's not to talk about how we think that these songs are horrible or whatever.
Yeah.
We don't ever
We're not criticizing the
We're not going to
songs.
choose
I mean,
any
really.
songs that we're dissecting because we don't like them.
Right.
So
Yeah.
we're really doing it for the other reason. And so today we chose a song called Tremble.
Mm-hmm.
And the song is a really awesome song. And first off, before we jump into the lyrics, Tremble is one of those songs where when it came out, it's produced kind of. It's one of the first worship songs, in my opinion, that was produced kind of hip hoppy, R&B that was applicable to church, and that's not to rank on any R&B or hip hop at all, but most of the time, like when you listen to R&B and hip hop, it's written different than worship music is, and normally this was just a worship song that was written that totally worked for R&B and hip hop, and so it just. So, although we do it nothing like that at our church, not just because we just don't have the kind of musicians to pull that off maybe, and that's just not our vibe, but I do want to say that that's starting to happen, and I'm excited about that. Even though I might not be an R&B hip-hop artist myself, it's exciting me that the church is expanding musically to allow more of that in there, because I think that people actually really dig that kind of music.
Yeah.
So anyway, I just wanted to just straight up start out with that just even the style of the song can totally go. I mean, we actually do it folky.
Yeah.
We do it more like rock pop worship type style. But then you can do it R&B. So this is such a great song. You can use it for any kind of style. So it's really cool. So lyrically, am I the only one who has the lyrics in front of me?
I know the lyrics.
I know the lyrics too.
Yeah. Got
Okay.
it locked in.
Cool.
But I was going to say, to jump off your spot there for a second, like, I think that's interesting because I think Mosaic Church, the people who wrote the song, are based out of LA. Or
Yeah.
at least that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So you have, for the longest...
It's a very urban type church.
Yeah, so I love that you get, it's almost this response, like, from this other side of the coast. Like, I don't know a lot of songs in Christian music where, like, you can say those came out of Los Angeles.
Yeah, sure.
So normally you think Hillsong, Australia, Elevations out of North Carolina, and Nashville and Bethel. Well, Bethel's a West Coast, but they definitely started with like Jesus culture, like almost like rock, like Euro pop kind of thing.
Yeah.
So that's kind of cool to have this other representation, and it'd be nice. I think there's excitement to me of hearing from the way hip hop, there's like Houston hip hop, New York, West Coast.
Yeah.
It's cool to get the other vibes of this other parts of the nation, the world, where they give. And you were influential in that way with Italy. Like, you kind of were like, we want you to have your own voice.
Yeah, totally.
So I think that's cool when you're writing.
Absolutely. And
to
have that, like you said, local flavor from LA.
Yeah.
And you can go, this sounds like LA music, which is cool.
Yeah.
And it's still like totally worshipful and totally engaging.
Yeah.
And
so, like, what they're trying to say, and I'm going to say it in a different I'm going to say it in a different way. This is why it's okay and it's needed that you guys are writing music, and that there is a place for you to write music and for you to record music. Because I think sometimes we think, there's so many songs out there. There's so many artists. There's so many, people who have more, resources and all this stuff. But honestly, like, you are bringing so much to the table because we get to experience the uniqueness of our areas and of our specific churches. And we're being blessed by the fruit of them, writing songs that fits their church. And now it can fit for a lot of us, which is really cool. And I just think that's super awesome.
Yeah.
And I mean, just for somebody who that is like my pure ministry in the world right now is to help people write songs, do songwriting retreats and all that kind of stuff. Like, it means a lot to me when we get to celebrate and champion another church that might be completely different style of music, but we get to go, yes, we got an awesome song out of it, and this is the coolest thing,
Absolutely.
Doesn't have to just come from Chris Tomlin. Doesn't have to just be a version of Chris Tomlin that he took from other people's songs. Which I like Chris Tomlin, by the way. I'm fine with him.
Texas, man.
But we were just talking about that with the Andrew Peterson song too. Is He Worthy?
Oh yeah.
That song's been around for a little while, and Andrew Peterson is an amazing writer, and I know him a little personally, but you know him even more than I do, I think.
Yeah.
And but it took Chris Tomlin to make it big. But what's cool about this is that they got to do it, birth it out of their own church. And it's cool.
Yeah.
So let's just kind of dig into some of the lyrics. Any lyrics specifically that comes to you guys' mind?
I'll let you go, Zach.
What's the concept of to tremble before the Lord? I mean, it is a biblical concept.
Actually has nothing to do with us trembling. It's the darkness.
I guess that's true. You're right. It's
and
true.
So it's kind of a unique twist on that, because you're right. In the scripture, you do have when people stand before God, they see His majesty and presence, they tremble. But this is like the darkness trembles, which is a cool concept. So cool. It's like again, you see this throughout scripture, and we talk about this at church a lot. But just the idea that of all the things that can come against us, the reality is the enemy is afraid. The enemy is scared of what God is going to do and what He can do.
That's
and
good.
The darkness, the things that often grip us and make us afraid and are tooling us, God is going to destroy those things. They're trembling. So it's a cool
That
concept.
is pretty cool. They're just scared. It's awesome. It's so cool. Yeah, that's powerful.
And I think that, you know, the scripture they reference when I've read that they talk about writing the song is there's a psalm that says the lightning flashes and the earth trembles. And my favorite scripture of all time is in John, the Gospel of John, and it says light shines in darkness and the darkness cannot overcome it. And that's, to me, this idea, what you're saying is like this little lightning that just lights up everything, and they're using Jesus' name as a metaphor for that. And Jesus, you make the darkness tremble. Your name
is a light.
Yeah, I was going to go into the bridge.
The darkness can't deny.
The shadows can't deny.
The shadows can't deny. Yeah. Your name cannot be overcome.
Yeah.
And I mean, that to me, that moment. One of the things I love about Tremble, I know you're going into the lyrics, but I like it for it's, you know, the original recording is a female vocalist leader. So as a worship leader, I love when more people can get involved in the team, you know, so it's not just like one person constantly singing the whole thing. So it's a great opportunity for female vocalists or a female worship leader to get into the mix and sing a song that has so much meat and so much power, and has that moment where you just go like, you can get into it.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And I was talking to Brent. I'm so sorry.
Well, no, I was going to say there's a lot of churches too that still have a hard time with women leading worship.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Some of them have, you know, actual theological reasons, and I'm not going to just sit here and argue about their theological reasons. But I actually think most churches, it's not about theological. It's just this awkwardness of they think that a man should be leading, even though theologically they're not necessarily. Because we're theologically at our church complementarianism. We do believe very much that men and women are different, and we believe that they are not necessarily, that women shouldn't be like a senior pastor or something. But we absolutely champion women worship leaders. And I think there's a lot of people who have the same theological like leanings as us, will not let a woman worship lead because they're thinking they're the head of the church at that moment. But I just don't think that is the real way to look at it. And I this is not to argue with any of you guys, but it's just to point out that actually we want and need women to lead us into worship too, because I think it shows that we're all equal before the Lord. It's not equal. It's not. They're not leading, they're not over our church. We are all equal before the Lord. We're together out on the stage looking at the Lord and saying, this is what we're bringing. Why can't women do that too?
Yeah.
You know, that's...
I forgot this is social media. No, so you say something and it's like, you got to figure out what you're saying a little bit. It's social media. Everybody has an opinion about even the smallest thing. Absolutely. So I'm thinking of bringing something in Acoustic, like, it's a female vocalist, but it's actually, there's a bigger deeper issue going on.
And we do, I mean, this is no like, you guys are all awesome, but I know that we have people that watch this that will disagree with us on the woman worship leader thing. But
no, that's good. I'm glad you bring that up because it's important. It's a good thing to talk about, I think. But that's why I like it. I like the song because it gives an opportunity for other people to sing or lead. But I was going to say too that I'm glad you're doing this because I think what we do as worship leaders, and we forget we're doing it sometimes, is that we're giving an opportunity for these songs, especially, I mean, if we've prayerfully thought about these songs, we're asking people to confront these truths. Because as you sing them, you know, when you're singing these words, your name is a light that the shadows can't deny, your name cannot be overcome. Okay, so we're singing that. But if we really believe that, and it really is something that we feel is true, it will affect how we live.
Yeah.
So therefore, if hopefully there's a moment where that a light bulb goes off in their head and they go, like, that's true. Yeah. His name cannot be overcome, and I therefore can live in a way that's true. Yeah,
let's utilize the guitar analogy that you said earlier. Like the shadows are trying to cover when you think of the shadows, when you think of you hiding in the darkness or hiding in the shadows, it's because you're ashamed to come before the Lord. You're ashamed to come before the Lord because you're going to show up and you're going to have this big old gash right here, or whatever it is.
All your faults exposed.
And so what Jesus' name does is it does expose those things. It gets you out of the shadows, and you have to face the fact that you are scarred, you are all messed up. But then you get to realize that actually, all the rest of the stuff you talked about, your guitar, is that is actually because of Jesus' blood and dying for our sins and all that stuff, God now looks at us as this beautiful possession of His, like it's like a prized possession, that those scars were needed to make you the way that you are in a lot of ways. And the shadow, when you're hiding in the shadows, and I think just practically when you're at church, when we're talking about people who just go to church and they're not involved in church and everything, if they really believed these words when we're singing it, then they would want to go to somebody and say, man, I'm dealing with this and I'm dealing with this, and pray for me. Like, I want to overcome this, and with Jesus, and then, but I think a lot of people can go their whole life hiding, even though they go to church.
Oh yeah.
Even though they're singing words, they're not believing them enough to actually come out into the light.
Yeah. I was a pastor's son. That's how I lived my whole life. It was like this duplicity of, okay, I'm going to church because my dad's the pastor.
Yeah.
And sometimes it would move me, but I knew that I was going to go back to school and be just another person.
Yeah.
So, it's good to realize that, at some point you have to stand before God and be who you really are.
Yeah.
This is good.
Yeah. It's awesome. So, let's just do a question or two.
Okay.
I know you got to get going.
Oh, yeah,
That's right.
A little bit. So,
Okay. Anyway.
Let's do a couple questions.
Yeah, let's do it. Okay, so we have 4 questions. This first one is a pretty easy one. Practically speaking, what are the pros and cons of leading from acoustic, electric, and piano?
Wow.
Do you lead from all those, Gabe?
I wish I could play piano. I lead just from acoustic, sometimes electric, but mostly acoustic.
Yeah.
Okay. Brandon, you lead from pianos.
Yeah.
Only when your leg is broken.
That's right.
But
what was that like, though? The difference between leading from acoustic and piano for you?
Well, twofold. One, it's really a really cool thing because you're mixing it up. So in your own, personally, I mixed it up, and so it allowed me to worship sort of in a different way than normal. Like I was able to, I just felt like I was playing a different part in the band, but because I was technically, but I don't know. It just, it's sort of like I'm somebody when it comes to songwriting where like if I'm not writing very well in this room, I might go outside and just be in a different environment. So it's sort of a different thing. Like piano is like a different environment for me. So I chose maybe different songs. I might have even chosen different keys based off of not necessarily my ability of playing, but the ease of not having to focus on the piano maybe. And that was really nice. So and then I lead from electric guitar as well and acoustic guitar. And you just have to... Acoustic guitar, literally in worship music, keeps everything together.
That's true.
unless you're running click and your band is awesome.
Or you've got
a
really good drummer who knows the songs and can keep time for everyone.
Yeah.
But you're right. You really just. That's what I was gonna say. Is I've led from piano and actually just led this last time I led worship and it was awesome. Yeah. But I had a guy who was solid on acoustic and you need to be there. It's like I couldn't have done it without him. Really, at least led the band as well as I want. I actually like leading from piano better. I don't know what it was at the end of songs. It can kind of roll a little bit and people were like getting into it. And they're excited. I was able to control some of the dynamics a little bit better than I would on acoustic because on acoustic. obviously you control the dynamics of the band, but I feel like being able to bring up pads and doing some other stuff like that was really neat to make things a little bit flowy.
Yeah.
But I think that having that acoustic, especially your electric guitar player, you're really left out there because you can't really start songs as well. You can't really. You're not holding songs together, so it's easier for the piano to me than even electric is. So.
Because you can keep some kind of rhythm still.
Yeah. And that's what I was gonna say. It's in a practical sense. The rhythm guitar, the acoustic guitar is mostly like a rhythm instrument. Yeah. So you really are just kind of percussive, but then you can also switch to a picking style to give nuance. So it gives you some versatility. But other musicians, if you start going with it, they'll take their cues from, like you said, you were leading with the piano. But if your acoustic player starts to do something, it's almost like they're going to follow
the acoustic guitar. Yeah, they will.
And in Stomptown, you and I do this where you play electric and I play acoustic, and then we switch sometimes where I go to harmonica, and it's almost the rhythm guitar player is the leader. Even in that little two-person band, it's like, oh, he's gonna go.
If you're playing, totally. If I'm playing the electric guitar part, I am definitely listening to you to make all of the decisions.
Right.
If we're gonna change something up, or whatever, or the other way around.
It's an interesting question.
But one last thing on that too is I do find that if you're going to switch. Just switch it up because you're gifted and you can play a different instrument. Just be prepared that they're going to follow the acoustic guitar player, and you're going to, if they're used to it. Now, if you're a piano player and they're used to following a piano player, chances are they probably will follow your piano player even if you switch to acoustic guitar. There is just something that just goes on there. What they're used to, they're going to do. Yeah. So you're going to have to, I guess the pros and cons, the pro is that you get to switch it up, and I think it's nice for the church. I think if you can pull it off. Yeah. I think the con is that you are going to probably have to. I was surprised on how much more I had to emphasize my changes, and the more I had to, like, my practices felt a little bit longer when I was playing piano than when I played guitar.
Interesting.
And so it just, for whatever reason, there's that. And then one other thing is totally random, but since we're talking about how people like to follow acoustic guitar, any of you guys that like to record and you guys use a click, try this for me. Don't use a click and try a tambourine. And it's so random. I just said about acoustic guitar, but a tambourine does the same thing acoustic guitar does. Acoustic guitar goes jan chicka jan chicka chicka jan jan. Yes, tambourine's going chicka 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 chicka, and it doesn't go. It doesn't go. I mean, it could, I guess, but it actually is doing it to a groove, and you choose that groove. And if you're recording, everybody's going to play more to the groove than they're going to the perfect click, and that's actually that's a trick. I never give recording tricks, but I just gave you one.
That's free
from the producer.
You should make them pay extra for that.
Extra free. You just have to share. How about this? Just share this, please. And for any of you guys that are listening on Spotify or on iTunes or whatever, seriously, like, share this thing, but also comment and stuff, because it helps us kind of get out there. So okay, next one is, that one's going to be intense, but I think it's good. You know what? I'm going to ask one for you first, and then we'll do the intense one, the last one. No, this is for you.
All right.
I mean, we all can answer this, but I think you're better at this than I am.
Oh my gosh.
I've heard about Planning Center. Besides scheduling, what are the benefits of Planning Center?
Besides scheduling, I mean, that's a big one.
Yeah.
The scheduling is huge, but I mean,
well, we've talked about Planning Center being awesome for scheduling in the past.
Yeah.
So I think, what are some of the other benefits? Because that's all I use it for. Well, but I think I've seen your stuff, and it looks like you use it. He runs a choir and everything at his church. It's pretty crazy.
So for that reason alone, so one of the things, and Planning Center, feel free to sponsor this video. But here's a cool thing it does. I mean, you can keep your charts on there, so all your charts can be synced up. So you can go to, let's say you're going to like praisecharts.com and you have a subscription there and you find Tremble. And Tremble, you go there and you get the key of, let's say, C, which I think it's in C. And you put it in there and you put it in Planning Center. Now everybody has those charts. But then like last night, you said, let's change it up.
So that's the app on an iPad that everybody can have the lyrics or the chords, which is called Music Stand.
And that's off of Planning Center. So it's a free app that they offer there. But in Planning Center, you can go and say, oh my gosh, this C is not a good key for us. So you can go in there and switch the key. And sometimes it just automatically updates to it.
Here's my question though. Maybe you know how to do this, and this is so raw and real because I'm asking you this question.
It's okay.
I can't figure out how to change the key for one person, but not change the key for the other person.
So are you talking about in Planning Center or Music Stand?
Planning Center or Music Stand.
Yeah,
so
if you
preferable in Music Stand.
On Planning Center, you get to choose one key, right?
Yeah.
Yes. Well, it has two different places where you put the attachment.
Okay.
A lot of times it says you can go into the edit.
You can do it in the key.
You do it in the arrangement. And you put so sometimes I cheat, I put G, C, D, all those in an arrangement.
And then they can look it up.
As soon as you pick the song, it then offers you all those options.
That's what we should do.
Why would you want people playing different keys, Brandon?
No, but
for capo, let's say
so for people who are doing capo, or honestly,
keyboard players,
piano players like to transpose into C and play everything in C.
And in Planning Center, you can go and say the capo.
I'm just joking. He's changed that.
Oh, got it.
I have to learn how to play the black keys.
I hear you, man. And then the other thing Planning Center offers is, let's say you have an MP3 file and you got it in C, but then you want people to rehearse it in now the new key.
Yeah.
There's an actual app in the website that lets you. It'll automatically transpose it down to the key.
What's that again?
It's in Planning Center. So
really?
You just go to this, like, it looks like a iPod, like an iTunes icon.
Okay.
You click on it and it lets you choose a different key, up or down,
cool.
and it automatically does that for you. It also
kind of like multi-tracks when you go put your songs in, you can change the keys up or down. On the one original file that the artist gave them, they're going through and have software to go, and it sounds good. I mean, you wouldn't think this sounds like it's been synthesized or something. It sounds legit. So.
And then you can also look at all your songs that you've got in Planning Center, and you can see the frequency with which you're doing them. You could go and see, like, oh man, we've done that song 100 times, and then you look at a song that you love, you've only done it once, and you're like, oh, so you can. I use it a lot to reference like how to set a set list up. I think I also use it because our pastor likes to go over the service, so you can print it out as a PDF. Yeah. And then it's got all these notes in there that you can kind of say, here's where we're going, here's the transition, we're going to go from this video announcement, but there's also a special Father's Day message at the end.
Yep.
So that's helpful. And then also you can set up teams. So it's not just a scheduling thing for the band, you can set up scheduling for your engineers, your audio engineers, your video people, everything that
you can put the video up. Did you just say that? Maybe you did.
Yeah.
But you could put all of the media up there that they're going to have to use.
Yeah,
which is cool.
You can do it's a very robust tool.
And we do not use it for these reasons.
Yeah.
We schedule our audio and video.
We've thought about it,
but we've not. Yeah.
All of our children's worship and all of the audio and everything. We do actually use it for that. But I've always been you and another friend of mine at their church. You guys maximize have like a huge matrix.
They're making their money back.
And I think this person is asking because I think that they probably have another way of scheduling that they feel fine on.
Yes.
But everybody talks about Planning Center, and it does cost money. It doesn't cost very much money, but it costs money.
It does.
They want to weigh what are the other reasons why. And I think you made a good a good case for it. So
you should be an ambassador. We contact Planning Center and.
Well, I know I should really, but then there's me, and then there's another church right in my hometown, and then I saw their Planning Center, and they even use it a different way than I do.
Oh, wow.
Everybody, so it's customizable, but these people are really and then I go I need to step up my game.
So last question, me. Let's do this one, and we'll save the big one for another time because we just don't have time.
Yeah.
How do I incorporate congregational worship to foster a heart of worship at home and at work?
Ooh, at work. Well, if you work at a church, it's not that hard.
That's true. Us three work at church.
Yeah,
so, but no, I get where you're going with this. So, how...
That's a good question. What are they asking? Like, how do I foster congregational worship so that your congregation goes home and worships at home and at work? Is that what the question is?
I think so.
Basically, the idea is how do we were talking about discipleship the other day.
Oh, yeah.
We're talking about how a lot of we just don't talk about the actual concept of discipleship on Sunday mornings very often. We actually, most evangelical churches kind of consider the preaching on Sunday morning a form of discipleship, which is sort of, but that's not necessarily everything we see in the Bible. We see a lot of one-on-one, a lot of actual home stuff. That's why it's such a big thing right now to have home churches and home studies and missional community groups. I could go down the list of all the names that they have. But so anyway, I think that we could, I think all the same principles apply to the discipleship than it would to worship. So basically, I think we should talk more about it on Sunday morning. I think we should. But I think what it really is just educating that this is not... I actually said this last night in worship. Yeah. I said this last night. Yeah. I said that this is... I pray, Lord, towards the end, I said, I pray, Lord, that this is not the end of our worship time.
You did say that.
And we know that this is not, and that we actually get to go home and to continue this time of worship with you. And I think it's just dissecting the definition of worship and just realizing that worship is more of a act of sacrifice and service. I mean, when you think of when they would slaughter the lamb and they would sacrifice or whatever. A lot of people would look at it that they're slaughtering the lamb and they're putting it on the altar, and that's actually the sacrifice itself, or that's the worship. But they also end up having a meal together, eating together. I see. They also they actually dedicate how many days? It's like 3 days. I can't remember.
Purification. It depends on the feast, but
totally.
Passover was a week long.
That's true. So
I mean, it was.
I think if we just kind of apply that, is that we need to stop allowing the word worship to be in our mind the definition. I'm not sure if you would look it up or not, but I think if you were to look up worship in the Urban Dictionary, it would say something you do on Sunday morning with guitars, drums, bass, and keyboards. Yeah. Okay, in the Urban Dictionary, of course. And I think that kind of tells you that we've allowed that to be something we do on Sunday morning and maybe not somewhere else. Yeah. But worship is really actually, an act of service and sacrifice that we're doing for Jesus, that we might be doing it actually in the name of Jesus, for Jesus, but we might actually be serving other people. We might actually be... So, I don't know, anybody else have any other thoughts, but that's just kind of what I'm thinking.
You got something?
Well, I was thinking, because we do talk about that often, like worship is obedience, it's a lifestyle. Yeah. But I was, thinking just the fact that a lot of times in Scripture, worship is synonymous with song.
Yeah.
And so I think this person's
sing songs at home.
Seriously, get a guitar, get a piano, worship with your family. At work, like I said, it might be different. Turn on K-Love.
Right.
Yeah. Turn on the worship music if you can in your office. I mean, you can carry that into other places. And obviously what Brandon said I agree with, but I think when you actually think of worship music, like he said, I think even a biblical definition is speaking to the fact that there's music accompanying it, and there's something about worship music that speaks from our hearts to God, and it's beautiful, it's praise, and you can really do that anywhere. It doesn't have to be in a congregation. And hopefully when they leave church, people are singing those songs. They're caught in their heads, and it's like they want to take those with them too. So
and one last thing too is just encourage your people. I know we're not talking to you necessarily because you're the one asking the question, but just in general, we need to be more boisterous about how thankful we are of who God is, just in general. And I do find myself in my conversations with my friends where I say, God is so gracious. Yeah. God is so good.
So good.
Thank you, Jesus. And I say it often. And it's not Christianese for me. It's not fake for me. It really is real. Like, I am saying thank you. and I'm grateful. And it's out of that act of gratefulness and thankfulness that we sing, but it's also that same act of what's going to compel you to want to sing to God is going to be the same reason why when you see the homeless person, you at least say a prayer for them, or you roll down your window and you say, God loves you, and if you can give them something great or not. It's the same reason why you're compelled to smile at the person you're buying your potato chips from at the store, and actually be a sweet and nice person to that person instead of being an absolute punk like I think some of us are sometimes. So I think it's the actual compelled, we're being compelled by how grateful we are about Jesus. And I just don't think if it's on our lips very often, we actually just allow it to be something that we're reminded of on Sunday and not necessarily something we are reminded of every day.
Yeah.
You guys got time? I mean, like, something I think maybe you guys can answer is, like, for me, as a worship leader, if I want other people to do something, a lot of times I have to find out if I'm even doing it myself. Yeah. So it's like I have to model that first in my life. So I want people to worship at home. I need to know what to do that first myself and model that. And then it gets smaller. Then your circle, like your worship team, if you want to encourage them, like, let's do this together. Yeah. Start there and model it for the people that you're going to ask to do it for. So.
Amen.
Yep, absolutely.
So, all right.
It's time.
Yeah. All right.
Cool, man. That's great.
Thanks for letting me be a part of this.
Yeah, absolutely.
I so appreciate it.
So guys, we have a conference, I believe it's 10, 11, 12 of October. Is that correct? 10th, 11th, and 12th. Come to the conference. Fly out. You guys can find a cheap flight if you're away from us. I'm sure if you buy it sooner than later. EQ Worship Conference, you can find it at eqworship.com. Right?
Is Gabe coming out for this?
He's coming out too.
Yes, Stomptown Revival is being revived.
Yes. We're going to do it. So anyway, God bless you guys.
God bless you guys.
See ya.